Hi, my name is Chris. I work for Tycen, Tanzania, and I'll be leading this interview. On behalf of Tanzania Youth Cultural Exchange Network, Tycen, a partner organization on project titled Culture for Sustainable Human Development, tackling youth unemployment through community-based cultural projects, a project funded with the support from the European Commission. I welcome you to this special interview on cultural visual media project entitled Stories of Youth, Culture, Development, and Social Change in Lives of Young People.
Hello.
Hi.
Uh, Welcome to our interview.
Thank you.
As we know, today we are going to talk about your real life story. Can you tell us your personal background?
Yes, sure. My names are Amina Ali Tingeti. I'm a Tanzanian born. I was born in Moshi, CFC. Then I grew up in Dar es Salaam for all my life. And Amina is a student. I go to Tumaini University. I'm taking my law degree over there. And apart from that, Amina is a youth activist. I've worked with different youth NGOs and other NGOs on different aspects such as child marriage, FGM, tourism, human rights, and all the rest. So the few I've worked with are Young Tourism Network, which is a youth NGO that deals with the tourism industry, improving the tourism industry and providing a platform for the youth to know more about the tourism sector in our country and the world about. And also I've worked with CDF, that's Children's Dignity Forum. And Children's Dignity Forum is an organization that deals with human rights, mostly females, as in girls and women, on aspects such as female genital mutilation, child marriage, gender violence, and all the rest. And as for Peace and Love Proclaimers, it's a youth-based organization, and they deal with matters concerning human rights on women, children, men as well, environmental issues, issues of genocide and piracy and all that.
Okay, let's go straight to a real story,
Yes.
real life story. What are the social problems faced by youth in your community and their impacts on your youth themselves, on youth themselves?
Okay.
Yeah.
The biggest ones that I see in our community are such as drug abuse. Most students are dropouts, don't get to finish, and pregnancies, teen pregnancies, early pregnancies, we should say, as well as unemployment. So those are the biggest ones.
Okay. And what is your personal understanding on culture, social cultural change, economic and human development in relation to youth employment opportunity in the community?
Culture itself is in short, I could say it's a total way of life. It covers basically everything that happens in our lives. And in relation to social cultural change, is how we change in our social life with our culture, how culture influences our change as we grow, as we develop as humans, and what it can do for us in the economic level. So for me, culture and human development, I would address that, is how youth are raised, how they're raised to develop and to use culture in relation to their daily activities as they grow up, bringing it to their responsibilities as young people in society, in schools, and in different aspects of our lives.
Okay. And what would be the specific challenges facing youth in your community?
Well, the basic one, biggest. There are many. There is drug abuse and all that, but the most one that make youth suffer, especially in our community, is unemployment. Yes. Unemployment in what sense? Unemployment being that youth do not get a job opportunity. It's not that they're not there, they are there, but then how to get to them, that's a problem. We find youth these days finishing school and not getting jobs. Why? It's because I could relate it as the problem that has to deal with our curriculum, educational curriculum, whereas it teaches us more theory than practice. It teaches us to be more dependent on white collar jobs instead of opening us to creativity, to be able to be self-employed and creative, to build out, to go into entrepreneurship and all the others, things that we could do without depending on going to an office and sitting in a chair swinging or signing papers.
So do you think youth involvement in cultural and the other creative activities could help in tackling youth unemployment in your community?
Yes, I do believe that. Why? Because culture in itself is creativity, and creativity is in the youth because they're young and vibrant and innovative and all. We expect all those things from them. So in tackling the whole problem of unemployment and their involvement in cultural activities, it starts from the schools. When these youth talents are fostered from these schools, then they get to develop them and get different. They get to meet different channels that will help them promote their talent and use them for self-employment, and in the same way help them become self-employed.
What is the role of social media in the life of young people in your community, and how could youth get involved in cultural projects through social media?
Well, the role of social media, it plays a very big role, basically because youth are in the social media, as in it's part and parcel of their life. They're always there, Facebook, Twitter, and all that. So for the social media, it plays as a learning platform. They get to learn about different stuff from these same social medias. There's lots of news posted about different things such as human rights, scholarship opportunities, and all that. So it gives them a base to learn. And also, it's for networking. Networking in one sense. They use the social media to meet different people from different cultures, different heritages, and they work together in different fields. So how do they get involved? By posting things such as pictures and their products, if they're doing businesses in form of culture. So they could post their products online in the social medias and use them for advertising purposes, and they would get, the people who are interested could contact them to get to know how they could get hold of the product, and business goes that way. As well as liking different pages. Like I said, it's a base for learning. There are different pages on these social media, such as Facebook and all that. So these different pages could be of different organizations offering different opportunities, such as career workshops and all that. So by liking these pages, they get to get updates for the organization's activities, and if they do provide opportunities for them to go out there and be the change they want to see in their society, then they get to be at first.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Chris, and I'll be here interviewing you on the cultural visual media project entitled Stories of Youth, Culture Development and Social Changes in the Lives of Young People. So would you tell us a little bit about your personal background?
My name is Anna Chris Yamalema, 23 years old, born at Muimbili Hospital in Dar es Salaam, and currently residing in Temeke district at Dar es Salaam. Took a business course for a year in business management, specifically in Bangalore, and now taking my bachelor in law at Tumaini University, my second year now. I am also a part or a member of YTN, Young Tourism Network, which deals with creating or raising awareness in the youth concerning tourism and how to preserve our natural wealth. And also YTN does different events such as conferences and tours. All this is done so as to motivate the youth or to create awareness in the youth in tourism and specifically in domestic tourism within the country.
Wow. So now moving to real life stories. What are the social problems faced by youth in your community and their impacts on the youth themselves?
First and foremost, education. Well, the education level of most of the youth in my society is inadequate. Inadequate why? Because they are educated but to a very low level. Most of elementary education, which is actually not enough for them to earn a living out of that. And also we have a problem of drug abuse in my society, and we have a problem of pandemics and dynamic diseases such as malaria and HIV/AIDS, which are a big setback for the youth in our society. And also we have a problem of youth not wanting to be self-reliant. Most of them are dependent.
What is your personal understanding on culture, social cultural change, economic and human development in relation to youth employment opportunities in the community?
In my understanding, culture is the totality of people's way of life, the way they walk, how they eat, how they dress, their norms of conduct, their taboos. What I know is culture touches every aspect of human life. It touches your social aspect of life. It touches your political way of life, your economic way of life, your way of thinking. So that is culture. And when it comes to social cultural changes, I think these are the social changes that occur within a society that have an influence on culture. Because as we know right now, the world is globalizing. It's becoming one village, which means that different people from different places are interacting, meaning that one culture might have an effect on another culture. So that is social cultural change. And when it comes to economic change, these are the changes that are in the economic structure of a certain society, whereby if we start tracing from the phrase whereby we had communalism to now where we have capitalism and actually some societies advancing to socialism, so we see the different aspects in the economic structure that change. So with all of these, they can have an effect on the culture of a certain society. And with all of these, the social change, the cultural change, the economic change, they can all have an effect on the youth. How? Because the youth is trying to struggle so as to cope or to fit in this globalizing world. So with all that, the youth finds themselves in transitioning also. So that is my understanding of social cultural change.
And what will be the specific challenges facing youth in your community?
Specifically for my community, I can say that most youth lack employment. Most of them are jobless. Jobless how? This is because of either lack of enough education, and also it could also be a problem due to the curriculum that we have in our schools right now. For instance, my education curriculum, the one that I have studied in ever since I was young till now that I'm in university, actually trains me to answer exams. It trains me to do good in class, but it doesn't actually train me on how to become a citizen, how to put the education that I've acquired into use, how to acquire a job, how to innovate or innovate on how to develop myself out of the education that I receive. So I think the problem is actually in the curriculum. So if only we could actually, I mean, the government could actually try to have a look or to adjust the curriculum, the education curriculum that we have right now, then maybe, probably, the youth would have a better chance of actually having employment. Not only being employed, but then it can also give them a chance for them to self-employ themselves. Because the education that we have right now does not allow us to be innovative or creative. So I think that's one of the biggest problems that we're facing. Another problem in my society for the youth that we have is maternal health education. Most youth right now find themselves having maternal issues. Mother and child death are increasing at a very high rate in my society, which could be because most of the youth in my society actually don't know or don't have the sources of the know-how or the know-where to get the required education for them to actually get into motherhood while safe and bringing actually a child into the world where they're both safe. Another problem that we're facing is we have a problem in drug abuse right now. As you see, most youth are actually reluctant and very lazy. They wouldn't want to work for their own. They want something to be very easy. They don't want to strain or work hard for something. So right now, there are several cases that I've heard in my society whereby so-and-so has been found with a certain amount of drugs at so-and-so airport. So most of them are taken to jail at a very young age because they just don't want to work, they don't want to strain, they don't want to be creative, they don't want to create opportunities for themselves. They want easy money and easy life, which is very tough to get right now. So joblessness, and then we have the problem of ignorance, because most of the youth, I believe by now in my society, at least they know that this is good and this is bad, but they still do what is bad. For instance, prostitution, or alcohol abuse. We all know that it's bad, but still people do it. Why? It's because of ignorance. Not because they don't know that it's bad, but because of ignorance. So I think also ignorance is one of the big enemies that the youth in my society are facing currently.
Do you think youth involvement in cultural and other creative activities could help in tackling youth unemployment in your community?
Yes, youth involvement in different cultural activities is a big way forward for the youth to actually employ themselves and to get out of the mess that they are in of joblessness. For example, a few days back we had an open mic, an open stage concert. It was a women festival whereby they had visual arts displayed, things such as dancers. We had people who could draw, people who displayed carvings. So if the youth actually got themselves into things like that, I believe right now that we wouldn't be complaining of a big number of the youth being unemployed in the streets, because we have young people right now being innovative or creative, using stuff that is actually, I mean, we can actually consider waste, but they use it and they turn it into harmful things that they actually sell, and they become a source of income. For example, a coconut shell. A person could use that and make earrings out of it and sell them, display them. But then if the youth don't want to work, they don't want to use the opportunities that are right there in front of them, then I don't think this cultural involvement is any good for them. But then cultural involvement for the youth is a big step for them to actually have job opportunities, to self-employ themselves, rather than wait to be employed.
And what is the role of social media in the life of young people in your community, and how could youth get involved in cultural projects through social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Skype, WhatsApp, High Five, Google, LinkedIn, and so on and so forth?
Social media, okay. Social media is something very broad, and actually, if we could all understand what these people created these social medias for, would actually be in a very nice position right now as the youth. For my understanding, social media is used as a place whereby people could network, a place where people could get information, a place where people could get to learn from one another and get to impart what they know to others, a place where people exchange ideas, a place where people meet, but it's only a meeting or mingling that is, let's say, immoral, but no, it was created for a good purpose. But for my society, what I see right now, people use places such as Instagram, Facebook for immoral uses. A place where you'd find a person insulting another person, not a place where youth could actually sit down and actually try and maybe connects to another person who's maybe studying something different or something of the same thing on the same fields, how they could actually try and develop each other, how they could learn from each other. But no. So in my society, I see like the youth still haven't got yet the meaning or the content of social media and how to use them. So I see them like they're abusing them. But if only they were to be used properly, then social media would be a place whereby youth network. It's a platform for the youth to speak out, youth to speak their minds, youth to be creative, youth from one place and the other to get to know each other. A place where people would get to understand things, know something better, know something happening in your place right now or something happening in a different country right now, issues of the youth, matters of the youth, how to develop yourself and how to cope with the globalizing world. So the social media, the youth could actually use it as a platform if they decide to. There are different pages where different innovative youth have tried to create pages for other youth where they could try and see and work together. For example, we have youth pages where they deal with tourism, where they try to invite other youth for them to come and see and actually appreciate the wealth that we have in our country and how to go about it, how to preserve it. So if only the youth would do such things, then I believe our country would have been in a very good position to say that we are developing, and thanks to the youth that we have right now.
In conclusion, what will be your suggestions to the youth in tackling youth unemployment in our community?
To sum up, I would like to advise the youth that they should actually take part or engage themselves in different cultural projects in which they could actually earn a living. Also, the youth could try engaging themselves in different youth networks, such as YTN, the Young Tourism Network, as I mentioned earlier, in which they could actually learn through the conferences or through the different events and through the different clubs that YTN has established in different secondary schools from the secondary level. From the knowledge that they could get from that, actually they could maybe try and seek employment in the tourism sector, maybe starting tourist companies, and through that they could actually earn a living and they could actually diversify the economy instead of only depending on a few economic activities such as trade or maybe agriculture. And also the youth should have the spirit of volunteerism. In this they could get to learn or work with different people from different places and different institutions in which they could acquire different knowledge, and from that knowledge they could actually maybe be able to employ themselves, or they could be employed by different institutions in time to come due to the experience that they've earned. For example, we have an organization here in Tanzania now known as Tycen, Tanzania Youth Culture Exchange Network, which deals with different youth exchange programs now here in Tanzania. So if the youth could actually take their time to seek and actually, let's say, volunteer in different places or seek these different youth platforms, then it will be easier for them to be able to actually acquire different knowledge, acquire different skills from which they become innovative, creative, and they could actually employ themselves or get job opportunities from meeting different people from different places. So that's in my view.
All right, thank you.